There you go.
Enable my. Oh, okay. How am I sounding now?
Now let me wait and see if it's going to take a little bit of time and everything. So, but there we go. That's it.
You can hear yourself. You're echoing. All right.
Okay.
All right, Roger.
I gotta do it. Just give it a second, real quick, and I'll mute out and it'll go away.
All right, I'm gonna hang up on you here. If you need to give me a call, give me a call. But for now, I am going to just, if you can hear me on the main channel, we're just going to get this started. Again, thank you everybody for being so patient. Roger, just tap on the just tap in the chat there, and we'll just get started, and we'll finish when we get finished. Okay, thanks. Talk to you on Rumble. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Red. Actually, this is the Neroke 5 Red Pill Nation live stream. Oh, there seems to be a delay here from the time that I start talking for this, as opposed to where my voice actually seems to come on here, or maybe I'm just repeating myself. Okay, so what is this? This is, well, I mean, this is the first one. I'm going to actually probably call this live stream 0, because I mean, we're making all sorts of rookie mistakes on this one. I decided to do a live stream mostly because it's I mean, the Red Pill Nation hangout has been fun, and there's now 421 episodes in the can. The thing about that is that, I mean, I have been doing a lot of independent content when it comes to independent content. But what's been going on, and I don't know, maybe it's the theme of where I actually just happen to be. And okay, I'm getting okay, that's better. All right. Oh wow, what did I just do? What the hell did I just do? According to this, I'm still on. Am I still on? Hold on a second here. Let me just tap this thing. Where did you? Thank you, Roger, for posting it up at Skype so that everybody can see here. Yeah, I'm making a lot of rookie mistakes tonight. All right, let's just get this going here. All right, so yeah, I'm getting back to the explanation here. the absolute necessity is that I think that it was probably time for me to do this. I made a decision right around, around episode 400 that I was going to do a that I was going to do a that I was going to start getting myself to the point where I was monetized, which of course totally explains why I didn't post anything up at about a Patreon or whatever. There is a Patreon link. I have actually restarted the Patreon. There's definitely there's definitely something I'm going to have to do some work about here. Here, I want to just tap onto it while I'm doing this, and I'll probably add the Patreon link at some point. I want to get to the point where I'm doing this for a living. When I want to be live streaming for a living, and I mean, what happened over the past month or so? It's specifically because I ended up having a fairly at-length conversation. I had to do a little bit of research because there's a situation going on at work, and I had to talk to him about it. And one of the things that I realized while I was doing that was the fact that the whole situation is, well, you know, this I'm dealing with an individual who is clearly, and I mean, I've had a couple of run-ins with him in the past few months. Every time I've had a run-in with him, I somehow mysteriously find myself in my boss's office a couple of days later over something not related. And I've also had to go. I'm not going to go into all the whole situation, but he's a toxic, backstabbing coworker, and there's various things that I had to do about it. And one of the things that I realized that I had to do about this, and I don't tell people at my work site that I do the podcast. And the reason why I don't tell anybody about the podcast is specifically because I can't really. I mean, for instance, this particular individual, we found that I was doing the podcast. He absolutely would run to the boss and rat me out just because he could. And that's probably not going to be acceptable. Okay, so, and it's like and part of that is me, I'm going to have to expand now I'm disconnected from the stream again. What the hell happened? Yeah, no, I found myself disconnected from the stream here. I don't know. Roger, am I still coming through on the stream? Type it out if you can hear me or not. So, yeah, the aim here is to get through and just do one. And this one is basically me doing an introduction as to what I'm going to hopefully be planning on doing with this, and also potentially what I'm going to be doing in the future with this. I'm going to tell you right now, this is not going to be basically a live stream of the Red Pill Nation. Although some of the stuff from some of the current events from RPN might come in here. This is me going back to my roots. And what I mean by me going back to my roots is that this is me returning. This is me doing Manosphere content. This is me discussing Manosphere content. This is me, this is me. Yeah, this is me discussing some of the stuff that I might not necessarily have time to discuss on the Red Pill Nation, because the Red Pill Nation is usually about more than the Manosphere. How often am I going to do this? I haven't figured that out. What type of style am I going to use for the live stream? I haven't figured that out yet either. It's probably going to take me, just like it took me about a dozen episodes to figure out how Red Pill Nation works, it's probably going to take me about the same amount of time to figure out a working formula for this particular show and how it's going to go. I will say this, though, it is going to be, again, this is going to be manosphere heavy, and I'm going to talk about specifically MGTOW and manosphere issues and red pill issues on this particular on this live stream, like I say, as opposed to say Red Pill Nation, which is also about news. Now, tonight, what am I going to do tonight? Well, I have saved up a whole bunch of memes. Now, what I'm going to have to do is I'm probably going to have to download this video and then re-upload the non-lives because I haven't figured out yet how to bring the photos up on the screen and review them one at a time. I have to jump over to another place and I have to go through them here as soon as I actually find the right one. Where the hell are they? Okay, maybe it's right up at the top here. No, that's not it. No, that's not it either. All right, so yeah, hold on a second here. Let me just see. What I'm gonna do. Oh, there we go. What I'm gonna do here is that on the reverse end of this is what I'm going to do is I'm on the edited version. I'm going to post up the each of them, I think, clearly demonstrates the basic unhinged nature of feminism and feminists and what it is that they're doing and how they're behaving. And it's really, and I think it's probably really important that I do this reaction. And I mean, again, I haven't figured this out yet. If you're listening to the edited version of this, I will put the photos up there for you. So yeah, I didn't really come into this with a topic tonight. I came into this with a series of photos of memes that I wanted to spend some time reacting to. Now, I have no idea, unless Roger has an idea, how to bring these photos up on the screen. I really don't know how or where I'm going to be able to bring these up. So I'm going to have, forgive me, you might have to go back and listen to the edited version when I will post these photos up there. I will try my damnedest to try to get them up. They'll be up in the upper left-hand corner. They're kind of hard to see, but yeah, you can probably see them there. And I'm just going to go through them one at a time. I'm going to give you my reaction to them and my counter reaction to them. And I'm going to give you some feedback on just how potentially unhinged, well, not potentially, how really seriously unhinged they are, or how they relate to the manosphere. Again, right, apologies for the awkward nature of this particular video. This is probably RPN live stream 0. I will have to work with Roger here a little bit more in the future to figure out how I'm going to make this work and maybe be a little bit more organized. As of right now, the next one is going to be on next Monday at 9:30 again and hopefully I will be a little bit more organized. So with that in mind, here we go. Yeah, hopefully you can see the photo in the top left hand corner. If you can't, well, I don't know how to bring it up. If somebody knows how to bring up images on screen on this, then by all means let me know. Hold on a second here. I have to message Roger here. It keeps it like one stream says I'm disconnected and the other one says I'm not. So I really don't know what the hell is going on. Oh, for God's sakes! Now my phone's not charging anymore. All right, here I'm just gonna send them a message on Skype here. All right, now, yeah, hold on. Oh, for God's sakes, come on, Jesus! You know what? I'm just not gonna use my phone for now. All right. Oh, cool. Apparently you can't see the picture on the left. Okay, that's a good thing because I did figure out sort of how to do that. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out some more in a second here. But yeah, I've got a whole bunch of these to go through tonight. If when I figure out how to make these work a little bit better, I will. But I'm going to start out with one. I have it titled Feral Links. Now, hold on a second. I'm going to open it up in a new tab here so I can read it more clearly. And of course, it's not coming up. Oh, wait. Nope. There we go. All right. Photo number 1. I have it listed down as Feral Links. Now, I looked up Feral Links, and she is still, to my knowledge, on Twitter. I'm going to say this right off the bat, just in case somebody is listening and is not particularly all there mentally. Please do not contact this person. Okay. But if you can see, if you can read it, her tweet says, "Men, we actually prefer you without violent tendencies and emotionally abusive ways." This is really interesting. Really, it is. Because what is going on here is that the whole issue with that, I mean, one falls apart on the surface when you, particularly when we discuss Luigi Mangione and the number of women that are absolutely swooning over this, and the concept of Aristophilia, which is, women change, like throwing themselves into. Oh, I'm trying to get my Patreon up here, which of course is not coming up on the computer for whatever reason. Oh, maybe I know I can get it on my phone. Yeah, I do have a Patreon here. Hold on a second. Now I got to figure out how to copy the goddamn link. Oh, you know what? I really can't. This is just too much. This is just too much to be bothered with right now. Forget the Patreon right now. Okay, so when you're talking in particular about feral links, and you want to talk about Aristophilia, and you want to talk about how there's been a lot of Aristophilia around Luigi Mangione, and like to the point of being like stupid. And of course, when you confront these women on their behavior, they will do. And this is something that I'm going to be discussing on a live stream very soon. I am currently in the middle of listening to an audiobook by Esther Wheeler called The Manipulated Man, and it has some very interesting things to say about women, and they're not, I mean, Esther Wheeler's The Manipulated Man. I mean, the way she describes women in The Manipulated Man is not particularly flattering in any capacity. And, it's the absolute hypocrisy of the fact that, I mean, that this is up, and you have what is going on with Luigi Mangione. You also, by the way, happen to have a situation with and I got the photo. Unfortunately, I didn't upload it, or maybe I did. No, I didn't upload it. Sorry, folks. I didn't upload it. There's a photo. If you're listening to this on the edited version, you will find that I will have the photo uploaded of a guy who is on Tinder, who openly confessed and conceded that he was beating his girlfriend, and he was movie star handsome, and he was getting a considerable number of hits on his Tinder page, even though he freely conceded that he beat his girlfriend. So this whole thing about Farrah Link saying that we prefer women who are not emotionally and physically abusive, that kind of goes into the back seat if you actually look at how women, this in particular with Aristophilia, again, a topic that I will probably cover on a live stream down the line. But yeah, if anybody's got anything to say about Aristophilia or any comments on it, feel free to leave a comment in the section. But let's get into the next photo here. Okay, there it is. It's either me or your guns. I'm not dating a gun owner. Oh well, gee, how sweet. I'm sure, and I actually remember this other meme. I'm not going to bring it up because I can't find it, where there was an individual who was having a conflict with his neighbor, and he was pro-gun and he was anti-gun, and they really didn't get along. So the gun owner placed a sign outside his his front yard where he says, "The guy who's living next, we're very pro-gun at our house. If you attempt to rob our house, you will be shot dead. However, the guy right next door is definitely very anti-gun." I'm just going to say this bluntly. The only reason North America didn't have COVID camps a few years ago was because if they had tried, even in Canada, if they had tried building and housing people without trial or due process in COVID camps in North America, they probably the people who were involved in that probably would have measured their lifespan in weeks. Now, again, this is also another case of women overestimating their value. If you're a MGTOW guy and you're listening to this and you have a woman that hits you with something like this, okay, I mean, for a guy who's MGTOW and is listening to this, and some woman he's dating, if you're dating at all, by the way, which is I mean, there's not a prohibition against MGTOWs dating, but it's strongly suggested that you don't. But if you are dating a girl, even if you're a red pill guy, for instance, or an MRA, if you have a girlfriend who is doing something like this to you and is forcing you to have to make a decision where you're potentially putting your own safety at jeopardy, I need to put something to you. It's like, do you want to sacrifice your personal safety just to get laid? I mean, the whole concept of even getting intimate with a woman right now carries a series of risks that is fairly hefty. And here, let me remind you of exactly what those risks are. At any point after you slept with her, even decades later, she can come back and she can accuse you of raping her. If at any point the relationship you have with her goes south, or even if she potentially disagrees with you, basically, if you slept with her or had any type of an interaction with her, you've handed her a metaphorical gun. Now, I realize that's probably a bit uncomfortable for some of you to realize, but it's true. You know, so just the act of being intimate with a woman or even interacting with a woman carries a set of risks. And if there's anybody out there who's telling me, oh, well, you're being paranoid, Neroke, it's like, well, I mean, yeah. And, does it, am I wrong? No, I'm not. And if you have a comment as to why you think I'm wrong, feel free to put that in the comments section. The whole thing around this is the fact that, I mean, you find out the hard way. I mean, you've got false accusations. You've also got the possibility of paternity fraud and whatever. And it's like, and she hits you with something like this. It's like, no, guys, it's like, if she wants to take that type of a stupid risk when you consider the type of crime that we're potentially dealing with down the line, then you know what? That's on her, right? The fact that she considers the fact that you own a gun to be more important than any other connection you have with her is probably a walk-away situation. This is almost like a me and the Xbox type of situation, right? So, yeah, bye, babe. That's really that's basically my take on this one. Now, let's move on to the next one. I have this one listed as equality, not revenge. Now, this one is really funny. And I don't mean funny in a good way. Now, if you look at this photo. It's a woman she doesn't exactly look like she's all that sane in the first place. And this is really interesting because I started seeing a lot more memes like this after Trump got elected. But the basic principle behind this one is that your lucky women are just looking for equality and not revenge. It's like, revenge where? Revenge how? If you're looking at the photo, it's in the upper left-hand corner. This is a woman. She looks kind of gothy. She's not really all particularly attractive. How exactly would women get revenge? Women are not physically able to overpower men on their own. Like, they're just not. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, you're not going to see women in the millions pick up weapons and try to kill men because it would not go particularly well for them. So are they going to go with the state? Well, the state requires the apparatus and probably the use of other men. Those other men are going to probably be either paid mercenaries or male feminists. Now, I'm sorry, I gotta laugh at this one. If you've seen the average male feminist, most of them are not a particularly threatening group of people. Most of them are not pro-gun, which is why they had the other gun owner below. Most of them are not very physically intimidated. Most of them have low T counts. most of them are not going to be able to physically impose their will on a red pill guy or a MGTOW. They're just not going to be able to do that. So it's sort of like that wouldn't work. So the only way it would work would be to use hired mercenaries. The only thing is that when you're talking about hired mercenaries, you're probably going to be talking about mostly men. Now, if you're using mostly men, and you're going to have to get a lot of them, because there's going to be a lot of men that are not going to take well to being confined and being punished for stuff that they didn't do. So you're going to have to get a lot of them. And these men, these other men, are going to have guns, these mercenaries. So they're going to have to pay them very well, or they're just going to have to let them run themselves. The only problem is that when you have a group where you have the dominant and you have a dominate and the slave mentality, they're going to look over at what the women are doing, and they're just going to decide that that's what they want, and they're going to go and take it. Period. End of story. So how exactly are you going to get revenge? Like, how? Right? Deny us sex? Well, I'm MGTOW. I really don't give a shit if you deny me sex or not. Now, male feminists might be willing to sell themselves out. In fact, you'll probably see a vast majority of trad cons also probably sell themselves out for this. The bottom line is, though, at least with a lot of the guys in the manosphere, you're strong, independent, handle themselves in a fight. And it's going to require, pardon the term, it's going to require other alpha males to keep these males down. So you're going to either have to kill them, or you're going to have to keep watch over them 24/7. That is going to consume resources. And oh, by the way, I hate to break this to you ladies, if there's any ladies that are actually bothering to listen here, but men produce most of the value in the labor in society. They do. Most of you women work in offices. You don't work blue collar jobs. You're not out there extracting the energy. You're not out there building the roads. You're not out there maintaining the infrastructure. Sandman brought up a video a few years ago when the ice storm hit Toronto, and he drove around. He was taking a look at all the emergency workers in Toronto, and he didn't see a single female emergency worker in the entire city. Just stop and think about that. So how are you going to get revenge? I'm going to go with the Rollo Tomasi model on this, is that we're better together. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and I'm going to stay MGTOW. Now let's move on to meme number 4. Feminism door is how I have it here. Okay, I'm going to bring it up. There we go. Now, this is a very interesting one. Now, you can make some claims that, the New World Order designed feminism as a way to extract more money and wages and time out of the masses, and also to allow the elites to have access to the kids. Yeah, that is true. When you look at the last door, men's desire to interact with women. Well, the whole facility of marriage and this is a big thing in the MRA. The whole concept of marriage. I personally look on that as just it's a legal contract. It's not anything set and designed out of love. And I'm going to just toss all this out to you as well. The number of legal issues you have to deal with before you even get married making sure just the prenup all by itself on the guy's side, and her with all her wedding plans and whatever. I mean, just the prenup by itself. I mean, if you don't take the exact right steps, the prenup will be tossed out of court before it even gets there. Destruction of the family units. Yeah, that's happened. No fault divorce, alimony, whatever. That. I mean, again, if you're involved in the MR men's rights movement, I mean, those are the two big ones in the men's rights movement. Concept of love. There was a time and a place where I was completely sold on this. We have reached a point in this society, and most men still have not figured this out, but I think more and more men are, that, I mean, like, it doesn't mean anything. In fact, getting married and having a family is just a way for the state to get its hooks into you and use you basically as a workhorse. And unless you know the specific ways upon which you can extract yourself from that workhorse situation, I mean, love is all you've got. And it's like, I mean, like, I hate to say this about most women, but most women are just not most women under the age of 35 right now are just not marriage material. And then, of course, you have men's desire to interact with women. Well, MGTOW. And I mean, it's like, what's really amazing me about this is the number of men that are gone MGTOW without even realizing they are MGTOW. And it's like, if you're sitting here listening to this and you're thinking that MGTOW has disappeared, I mean, I will invite you to go to places where MGTOW is still quite prominent. The MGTOW groups, specifically on Facebook, have never been larger. No, I don't think that this is insecure man babies. I think this is men that have learned about the realities of the situation. And it's like, why would I want to commit to a woman in a marriage situation or even have kids with her and basically allow her to have a metaphorical gun that she can turn and fire on me as she sees fit? And yeah, there's going to be some people go saying, well, no, that's changing. Guy has to, there's lawyers and whatnot. It's like, yeah, of course. First of all, you have to know which lawyers to talk to. And then, of course, you have to have a lot of things go right. Now, thanks to the MRM, this has been more the case, but I mean, still, right? Yeah, I don't think this is the year that the manosphere is going to absolutely explode, but I mean, we're getting very close. But let me move on to the next one here, because this is going on a whole lot longer than it's going to. Okay, let me just get back to the studio here. Hopefully I haven't lost anybody. Oh, no, I still got the same 4 people. Praises to the 4. Oh, you're going to love this next one, folks. I have it listed down as try to intimidate. There we go. You should see it up on the, you should see it in the upper left-hand corner right next to the skull. Okay. Men should be scared of what this means to them. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Watch what happens when you piss off the whole country. I must make sure you feel our wrath. You gotta love it when women try to look intimidating. Now, if you go over to Threads and TikTok, and although I don't have a account on Blue Sky and Mastodon, and I probably won't get them, I do have an account on Threads, and this is a theme that is running through. And again, going back to that one with that goth chick, same situation. At least for the MGTOWs, like, what are you going to do? You're going to cut us off from sex? I mean, sorry, we're already there. Like, yeah, we're already there. Trying to shame men into, and this is something else that I'm going to point out. if any guys here are actually listening to this, and I think there's only 4 of you right now, if you tried to send men to attack the manosphere right now, and I'm talking in a metaphorical sense here, they're going to get severe, because I'm seeing more of it now too, by the way. They're going to get severely beaten down, not physically, but metaphorically. They're going to get converted, or they're just going to give up and run away because they're not having the effect they had. Now, there's a number of reasons why they're doing that, in particular because they're being given the wrong information. But again, how are you going to make us feel your wrath? Right? You're going to send your big, strong boyfriend to come over and attack me? Good, go ahead, right? Like, I eat those guys up for breakfast. Like, seriously, like, don't make me laugh. And when I saw this meme on Facebook, it was sort of like a couple of the comments on it was, I kind of laugh when I see women trying to be intimidating. She's trying to be intimidating. It's not working. Next image. Oh, guys, this one's funny. And I posted this one up just to let you know, just to show you about how desperate men can get. I have it down here as get laid. And here it is. It's like male feminist wondering how long does he have to agree with women until he gets laid. For the past 6 months, Davey Thompson attended every meeting of his local feminist group with passionate speeches. He has denounced the evils of the male gender and held himself up as an exception. Well, Sargon of Akkad came out with a video a few years ago called Beware the Male Feminist. Most feminists know that the guys that are attending, consider the guys, and this is something I want to point out to the male feminists. Like the really outright misandric feminists in that group hate you just because you're a man. Most feminists know about or have had stories about creepy feminist men honing in on them. Here's the thing about feminist men, because I've been dealing with one for a couple of days here. And this is what's going to happen. If you could see the photo of this guy, I hate using this as an example because they're obviously not all white and have blonde hair or sandy brown hair like this guy has. The male feminists come in all races and all stereotypes, but they all have a softness about them, most of them anyway. And there are specifically with MGTOWs. MGTOWs hate, like, really, really strongly dislike male feminists. Why do we dislike? And I can't say we, but why do I? From what I've seen, why do most MGTOWs hate male feminists? Well, for one, they see a part of themselves in there, and two, to be a male feminist, now you have to exercise a degree of willful ignorance that borders on outright retardation and stupidity. Like, you have to not want to go and check facts, right? And the reasons why you're not wanting to go and check facts, with a lot of them, although there are some exceptions to that rule, there's 3 categories. There's the ones that are just trying to do it for some mating strategy. There's a second group, which I have a little bit more respect for. They're the ones that had female relatives or the guy's mom get abused by a creep when they were kids, and they're trying to be the white knight, and they're trying to rescue women because they couldn't rescue their sister, their mom, whatever, when they were kids. And then there's the third type. Now, the third type, and if you don't know who I'm talking about, go Google Hannibal the Victor. Hannibal the Victor was outright threatening, got guys in the manosphere a few years ago when it was personally and directly revealed that Hannibal the Victor was on parole on sexual charges, and he had spent time in jail over it. So these are individuals that either did something wrong in their past and are trying to compensate for it, or they did something in their past and they have just developed this strategy where in their minds, being pro-feminist gives them access to women. Don't be Davy Thompson. Okay? It gets you nowhere, and you do lose the respect, not only of guys in the manosphere, but you do lose the respect of a lot of women, because it's like, I mean, just agreeing with a woman on the off chance that you're going to get laid makes you look weak. It does. All right, so let's move on to the next one here. Target audience. Okay, let me bring this one up. All right. Now, I'm going to note the hoop earrings on this one. Men are not target audience. Okay, now this one is, and she's trying to look really strong and tough in this one. If you've been to feminist sites, and there are groups on Facebook in particular that post up this stuff, and yeah, okay, you want to keep, well, two things. One, you want to keep your feminist rhetoric for the women. That's great. That means then that we can keep the manosphere rhetoric for the men. You don't get to have a say in it. You specifically don't get to have a say in any MGTOW content. Also, this is also a form of soft misandry that basically says that they get to say whatever the fuck they want to say about men and not get challenged on it. Now, there's a flip side to that, which is that it says that men don't get to say, if that's the case, then that men shouldn't be allowed to say what they would need to say about women. Here's the thing about this. If you're not the target audience of your propaganda and you want to continue to propagandize, then we get to do the exact same thing. You do not get to interfere, and you have continue up until, well, feminists are starting, and social justice warriors are starting to lose their power over the situation now, but they're not anywhere close at this point. But I mean, yeah, okay, we're not the target audience. Fine. Then get the fuck out of our forums, get the fuck off of our groups, and stop being a fucking troll. Okay? That sword cuts both ways. And let's move on to the next one here. Okay. This is an interesting one. This is a very interesting one indeed. And again, I can't read it unless I open up the image in a new tab. There we go. It's the Asian lady. This one is more for the guys. And I mean, I was just thinking about this morning. I can think of 3 MGTOW content creators. The most prominent of these being Think Before You Sleep, who did take down all of his content in the name of Brittany Venti. And of course, he even bought her a fairly impressive looking wedding ring at one point. And they broke up. And it looked like they weren't particularly close at any point. But I mean, Think Before You Sleep basically sold the farm over Brittany Venti. And what he got for it, he literally, I mean, hopefully he got laid out of the situation, but he doesn't have a whole lot to show for it. I mean, he's still making content up at YouTube. The only problem with Think Before You Sleep now is that nobody trusts him. And the reason why nobody trusts him is because he fucking sold out for pussy. Guys, if you are listening to this, do not sell out for pussy ever. Right? Don't. And I've met a few guys like this, right? Who were in the midst of going somewhere, and then they dropped, or they got this woman accidentally pregnant, and they were on this stream. It maybe wasn't necessarily all that financially rewarding where they were at right now, and they quit and they went and they worked some job. And again, they love their kid. The guy loves his kids and he's happy to be a dad and whatever. But it's like, there was a guy I remember years ago called Nicholas DeRazio, and I think I might have his video up at Rumble, where he talks about how many guys gave up on their dream to be with a woman, right? It's like, if you're going to pair up with a woman, like there has to be almost like a team concept involved in this. Like the successful marriages that I've seen, the man and the woman form a team. There's a clear division of duties. It's a clear territory. And I don't mean just physical territory. I mean responsibilities, duties, that sort of thing. Each one of them can do the other one's job, but each one has a specific role. The mother and the father had a specific role in the family, and each of them attended to those duties diligently and consistently. Now, if one of them went missing, the other one could pick up the slack for a few days. But I mean, yeah, successful marriages seem to be more about cooperative partnerships where each of them has their own specific space, and each one of them has their own specific duties and responsibilities inside the relationship, right? So if you're going to pair up with a woman, I'm going to mention, I can't believe I'm going to bring up Lauren Southern in this one. Like, yeah, don't give up the farm because a gorgeous woman with a nice rack starts batting her eyes at you. Okay? Getting back what you lost in the after effect, and yeah, we are talking about a 70 to 75% divorce rate on first marriages here. Getting back into stride, especially if you have a messy, ugly divorce, and I'm not speaking from personal experience here because I've never been married. I have seen the effects firsthand, though. It takes a lot of effort, and you have to make a conscious effort to do so. And you have to make that conscious effort to do so, potentially having to pay child support, potentially having to have constant child custody problems, potentially having an insane ex that goes out and pairs up with a new guy who abuses the kids. You also have to worry about the mother potentially alienating the kids. Like there's a lot going on there, right? And it will be a lot easier to go back into your old life if you never gave it up in the first place. I'm not saying be irresponsible here, but to your own self, be true. If you cannot look after yourself and your objectives and keep your own space in order, then you're pretty much useless to anybody else. So let's move on to the next one. This one is called Old White Men. I think you're going to find this one particularly amusing. Mostly because the woman who is wearing this particular t-shirt is a woman whose ancestors looks like she might be from India. She might be black, but she looks like she's from India. First of all, the fact that she would say that she's heard enough from old white men is an inherently racist thing to say. It sounds a lot, and this is a new word that I found out a few days ago, about a week or so, from Mark Dice, called white envy or white hate. This shirt is blatantly racist, and it is white hate. Period. That's one. Two, and this is something that feminists do a lot. For some strange reason, they seem to think that because there's a white male running a Fortune 500 company, that every other male in the world somehow magically benefits from this. That is not the case. And I have listened to feminists and feminist allies argue this to death. Okay? I am not benefiting in any way because Bill Gates fucking runs Microsoft. All right? I am not benefiting in any way because Elon Musk runs Tesla. Or I can't remember they had a Jeff Bezos runs Amazon. Right? Like, I am seeing no benefit from what those guys are doing, other than I use the services that they provide from their company. But I'm not seeing any financial services. I don't get up in the morning and go, oh, yes, I am so glad Bill Gates is running Microsoft. And if there's anybody out there who's actually thinking that, I think you're a fucking idiot. Now, the next one, and this is the one that I really want you to ruminate on, and I will actually have to post up supporting photos for it, is the fact that technically people from India are considered Caucasian. This gets a lot of people from India pissed off. It does. Unfortunately for them, it is true. There were citizens from India that were allowed to fight for the Nazis during the Second World War. There was an actual division known as the Indian Battalion that was trained and fought, I believe, in Russia for the Nazis, despite the skin color. So just ponder that for a second. We have an Indian girl wearing a white hate t-shirt. But the only problem is that this Indian girl is technically Caucasian. All right, moving on to the next one. Next one I type as go back. Here, I will bring it up for you here. This one is also really interesting. Mostly because, they're talking about this in regards to Donald Trump. What really blows my mind about this particular issue, and again, right, this is where the tradcons really drop it here. The 50s had their issues. McCarthyism springs to mind almost immediately. A building and serious racial divide, which you're still seeing, and like literally the last photo I showed you was that the the 50s were not as much of a golden period as a lot of people think it was. But here's the thing: the reason why this particular shirt is popular is mostly because of Donald Trump and Trump derangement syndrome. Now, the thing about Trump derangement syndrome, and this is something that I have brought up, and again, right, when you bring up questions like this to feminists, they don't ever answer the question. They will do anything other than answering the question. But if you know a woman who's actually like this, you might want to ask her, what exactly did Trump do in his first term to roll back the clock on women's rights? Because Kavanaugh doesn't count. And the actual Roe v. Wade being overturned actually happened on Biden's watch. And Trump never put any additional restrictions on women anywhere. In fact, if anything, he was even a little bit cucked, and he actually made things even more feminist. So I don't know where this is coming from. I'm going to just say this flat out. The feminist version of society doesn't work, but going back to a TradCon's 50s model, I honestly don't think is going to work either. Actually, I don't even think, I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. If there is a new version coming up, but yeah, saying that you're going to be rolling back to the 50s, I mean, yeah, it's not, it's not going to happen on Trump's watch. And if you're like so stupid that you actually buy into Agenda 2025, yeah, just go be fucking stupid somewhere else. Like, just go be stupid somewhere else. Next photo. This is one that is really not particularly, I really don't like this one at all, right? First of all, you know, like, you don't, I mean, nobody is this isn't the Middle East. Nobody is forcing any woman anywhere to cover up. There is a growing radical Muslim problem in Western Europe, but we're not in Western Europe. This one is just so stupid because, like, I mean, guys are stimulated visually by attractive women. Women, a lot of them, don't have any problems at all putting their wares up in display. In fact, it's getting worse, not better. And again, right? Like I say, I've been reading a lot about from Esther Vila's The Manipulated Man, and she is really critical about how women use their sexuality, right? Now, the explanation that I understand for why they force women to cover up in the Middle East is because there literally are men that can't control themselves. And this is the other part about this. Like, I mean, I should be feeling guilty because some guy with a dick can't control himself. It's on some other country, and that's somehow magically my fault. No, it's not. And any guy who's listening to this, is not your fault either. You did nothing wrong. If you haven't actually physically sexually assaulted a woman or whatever, or leered at her too much or whatever, you did nothing wrong. The whole issue on this is that, again, this is what I really dislike about this one. This one just basically shames boys for being boys and men for being men. And when I saw this t-shirt campaign, I knew I was going to have to do a commentary on it. I just didn't think this was all going to come at once. But yeah, let's go over to the next one. Oh, this one. Oh my God. Yeah, this one is funny. This one is really, really funny. Oh my God. Yeah, this one makes me laugh. This is going to be a growing trend, by the way. One of the things that feminists like to do is they like to wrap themselves up in the cloak of being a bitch, being whatever. And one of the things I've known, and this is just another tactic. Like they're trying to make this because like I mean, I remember guys in the manosphere like telling all of these women in their late 30s and early 40s, or even some really toxic women in their 20s, enjoy the cats. Now, I have met some cat ladies in my time. Like, none of them are women that I would really have ever wanted to get involved with. It was very clear with a lot of them that there was something missing. A lot of these women are misandric. A lot of these women are hateful. And I mean, if you take a look at the photo of this particular woman, all right off the bat, I mean, when she was younger, she was probably about a 7 or an 8, which meant that along the way in her late teens, early 20s, early 30s, there were 1, 2, maybe even 3 guys, possibly more, that were potentially willing to probably tie the knot with her. Or maybe they did. And it didn't work out. And the fact that she is choosing to do this and trying to turn it into a badge of honor, that because like I mean, she probably had at least a couple of opportunities to settle down with a decent guy and chose not to do it. And that is okay. The first one, okay, the guy was maybe a creep, but the second one, it's sort of like, okay, and the higher the number goes, the less likely it is that it's the guy's problem, right? So she's probably had multiple opportunities to settle down with a decent guy and chose not to do it. And if it's more than a couple of them, then it's on her. It's not on the guy. And it's like, it's not something to be proud of, right? Like, it's not. Like, this is just, it's a giant cope. That's all it is. Moving on. Okay, now we have a this one is more for the guys. If it comes up, there we go. Now, this one is probably more tied into Gamergate and culture, but I mean, I obviously, when I saw this one, I had to add it into the add it into the feed here. Star Wars fans never hate a strong woman. You're just terrible at writing them. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, all of these characters had very interesting character arcs. Mara Jade was definitely my personal favorite. And yeah, I mean, if you had seen for instance, Rearson calls it the ejaculate. If you saw the acolyte, I mean, there was a number of ways. There's been a number of female characters that have come out in the Kathleen Kennedy era of Star Wars, and none of them have been particularly good. Now, if you take a look at these characters in this particular photo, all of these women have really interesting and well-developed character arcs. And there's nothing that they were all well written. They're all very strong individuals. They all have unique talents, and they had to work for them. Each of them had to take hits and had to go through trials and tribulations to get to where they were. All right. It wasn't like Rey from the last Star Wars movie, who was a bit of Mary Sue. Again, right. Try to explain this logically to feminists, though, is like trying to draw blood from a stone. And when I get to the end of all of these images, I will I'll give you my conclusion. But I mean, I have a very strong opinion looking at this one and looking at the Star Wars individuals and looking at the way the culture is going. In particular, the relationships between men and women right now. Yeah, it's not good. But yeah, let's move on to the next photo. I want to thank the 3 people who have been really patient about this. This one is called Judgment. All right. Now, this one, again, right, just kind of stop judging single mothers. Most of them are good and faithful women who fell into the hands of wrong men. No, again, right, you go back to the first photo, right? You know, stop fucking the assholes, right? Like, there's a reason why a single mother is single. And this is sort of like, they didn't fall into the hands of wrong men. The current culture gives these women the choice to be with these men. So they are choosing to go with them. Okay? So, yeah, I will judge a single mother. There is multiple reasons why you should never date a single mother, but one of the top ones is the fact that, I mean, if the ex is still around, you have a very bad habit of finding out why she's a single mom. You know, so yeah, I will quite happily judge single mothers. And last but not least, this is me. I ain't fucking interested in raising a kid that's not mine. Right? I'm not interested in having the asshole that she chose to have this kid with in my fucking space. Like, I'm not interested in that, right? And I'm also going to point out something else. Kids from single parent families, specifically single moms families, and moms who do manage to find a stepdad or step parent. I mean, there's absolutely no drop in the criminality rate between moms who remarry and have a step parent as opposed to single parents. Like, it's exactly the same from what I've been able to find out. So yeah, this is that one's a bit of a fallacy. I'm just going to go over and look at the comments here. Okay, looks like there's nobody's actually bothered to comment in the comments, so we're still good. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah, I'm going to try to make these a little bit more interesting down the road. Again, like, this is a new thing for me, so I'm just hammering away here. I'll figure some stuff out later on. Okay, this one is harsh. This one's called Reality Bear or Harsh Reality. This one falls into the line comment of choosing the bear. Now, I covered choosing the bear when feminists were being really stupid about this. And among the things they were saying is, oh, well, a bear isn't capable of date raping you. And it's like, well, it's because a bear isn't biologically designed to mate with a woman. They were putting human traits on bears, and it's sort of like, yeah, you know what? I mean, you're putting a human trait on a bear, which is not a very good approximation. And the other thing about this is, oh, well, we all know bears. I will pick a bear. There's like literally one feminist actually said that I will pick a bear over you. And it's like, oh, go be my fucking guest. Like, first of all, this choosing the bear thing isn't the own that you think it is. And it wasn't feminist women who might be listening to this show. And as a person who lives in bear country, I have had a very close encounter with a bear. Now, fortunately, it was a recently released, like maybe 2-3-year-old black bear. I saw it saw me, and we both took off in the opposite directions. Bears are phenomenally fast. If that bear had wanted to run me down, it would have. It could have, but it didn't. If you ran into bears as much as you ran into men, like, every single woman on the planet would be dead. Of course, again, right, explaining that logic to a feminist is like trying to teach computer programming to a gorilla. Let's move on to the next. let's move on to the next photo. Oh, looks like I'm starting to get some more people here. Next one, I call it nonsense. There we go. Another one of those. Yes, another one of those t-shirt shots. Okay, this one is just, again, like these. I have never seen any woman actually wearing these t-shirts. Now, okay, if our opinions about women are nonsense, then your opinions about men are also nonsense. Again, right? We're getting into that logical fallacy, trying to teach logic to feminists, aka this, therefore that, is like trying to teach computer programming to a gorilla. Yeah, this one works in reverse too. And if you want to disregard our opinions, yeah, you could disregard our opinions. Just don't bitch when guys start entering the manosphere and choosing to be a PUA or red pill or MGTOW or an MRA, right? Like, yeah, if you want to disregard our opinions, we get to disregard your opinions on us and don't get all shocked and hurt and offended when guys jump into the manosphere, which is exactly what's happening. Moving on to the next photo. Oh, this one was I think this one's about the bear again. Let me just take a look here. Okay, men and women's washrooms. Okay, let me just take a look at this one here. Waiting for the image to come up. We don't trust men, so we choose the bear. So you understand why I don't men in the bathroom with my daughter. And you can clearly see she gets upset at the end. And it's like, yeah, it is. Now, there was a meme response to this, which wasn't particularly smart and was a false equivalency, which consisted of the bear won't do, again, right? Go back a couple of photos ago, right? Giving human characteristics to a bear. And yeah, I think that both the mother and the father need to be concerned about men in women's washrooms, especially since it's like in particular with HRC and with BlackRock and all that woke. Although it is on the way out, I gotta remind everybody that Planet Fitness held its ground and fought back and got artificially propped up by one of the three, either BlackRock, Vanguard, or Fleet Street, propped them up economically over this issue when their stock started to drop. And by the way, that incident in Fairbanks, Alaska was not the only incident that involved Planet Fitness. So yeah, I mean, you're not gonna trust men, then this is a perfectly logical argument, right? Again, right? Like when you see the edited version, I will have these photos edited in, which will make it a lot easier. Okay, next photo. This one. I just call this one incel. And okay, I will bring it up. Okay. Yeah, feminists will pull. In fact, I had to call somebody out. I usually at least once a day on social media, I will have to call someone out because they pulled the incel card. A lot of people don't even necessarily know what incel means. I can tell you what incel doesn't mean. It does not equate to MGTOW, right? Like this particular insult has been used so much that I suspect that most people don't know what it means. This is what I'm going to tell you about the people who use the word incel, though. They just assume that a guy is just will follow his dick around like a dog and will follow it slavishly, and that his whole identity depends on the approval of women. And as a MGTOW, I can tell you that it doesn't. I don't fucking care if women like me or don't like me. I especially don't care if male feminists like or dislike me. You know, and yeah, they pulled this particular comment out so often now that, I mean, it's almost like it's lost its meaning, just like how to a great degree the red pill has lost its meaning. And that's all I'm going to say about this particular one. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, this one. Simp love is what I call it. Now, this one is, again, this is one of those ones, you know, like, I think I saw a photo. Actually, no, I don't think. I know I saw a photo up at an Instagram post where this guy had photos of about 9 porn stars, and he had the highlight above saying, none of these women care if you exist. Move on with your life. Again, why do, in particular, MGTOW men to a great degree, why do they hate thirsty guys? I can give you a couple of reasons. You know, like if these guys are willing to simp out for a woman that they barely know, who probably won't sleep with them, and are willing to basically sell out every term and every principle they've got on the off chance that they're going to get laid. Like, do you want to trust this individual with cash? Do you want to trust this individual with trade secrets if he works for you? Do you want, or if you're in the military, you want to keep government secrets or military secrets away from the enemy, right? Would you trust one of these guys to hold it for you? These guys are untrustworthy. These guys have no spine. These guys will, like, these are the types of guys that will abandon, if you're in a, this is the reason why they don't have mixed gender combat units, because almost invariably somebody ends up fucking somebody. All right. And if you're in the foxhole, you need the guy next to you to be watching your ass. Now, if his girlfriend 3 foxholes over gets wounded, like, is that guy who's you trust to be watching your back, is he going to abandon you so he can go be with his girlfriend? Yeah, that's a very real possibility, right? Like, the fact that they're willing to just, like, prostrate themselves over this, it shows up in other areas of their life. Yeah, it does. Sorry, hate to break it to you, man. Right? If you're selling out this badly over some woman on Instagram or OnlyFans or some porn site that you barely fucking know, like, she barely, unless you're paying her a lot of money, and even then, right, she barely cares that you exist, right? And it's almost, I think, this is just a theory of mine, but almost on an inherent level, I think she knows that you're weak and unreliable, right? Like, principles, integrity, honor, like, those are words that have been kind of demeaned over the last few years, but they're things that I think men in particular need to start learning again. And independence is another one. Like getting a backbone, knowing what you will do and what you won't do, what you will compromise on with a woman and what you won't. And the guys in this photo will compromise everything. Think before you sleep. Next photo. I want to thank the handful of people that are actually still listening to me and actually think I'm somehow entertaining enough to keep listening. All 6 of you. Thank you. Next one, human female. They'll kill more babies than men and bears combined. Yeah, in a non-war situation, absolutely. Actually, even in a war situation, it's generally considered. I've never been in the armed forces, but it's generally considered really bad form to be killing children. It's considered the height of cowardice. Like, even the Nazis, when they were at their absolute worst, would generally try to avoid doing this. And again, this particular photo is more about abortion. Now, when it comes to abortion, I have to point something out here. For me personally, my stand on abortion is there's definitely room to be talking about doing abortion bans on late term. There are things that are absolutely out of my control. Using abortion as a form of birth control, though, is unacceptable. There's lots of available methods for women to practice safe sex and birth control. And I'm amazed how, like, despite apparently the number of women who are on birth control, how many accidental pregnancies there actually are. But yeah, this meme is true. Human women kill more people than bears and men put together. And that's an actual fact. All right, now we have another. Okay, we've got a couple of bear ones here. Now, this one. This one actually, I posted up this one because this one actually got a lot of women angry. See, a lot of women didn't like being reminded that they were picking something that would regard it as lunch. They keep thinking about Winnie the Pooh or Smokey the Bear, and that's not what bears are. Bears are dangerous wild animals. Okay, I've encountered bears 2 or 3 times. I told you about the one where I had a really close encounter with a bear. I've had some other encounters with bears too. Where I work, we cannot come up here and work unless we have bear training. I have had to work in situations where I've had to have bear spray and bear horns. I have had situations where I've had to stay in my car for an extended period of time because there was a black bear within probably about 100 feet of me eating berries in a bush very close to where I live, very close to not where I live, but where I was working. I've had to run inside. Yeah, I didn't have to run inside. Sorry. I had to go inside this vehicle and I had to wait for this bear to leave. And what I actually had to do is I had to pull out my bear horn and honk it a couple times to scare the bear off. Now, fortunately, it was another probably newly released bear cub. So they're not particularly dangerous and they're not particularly smart. But I saw a recent video that these 3 kids did get attacked by a bear, a black bear. And it becomes very, very obvious as they're taking photos that this bear did not run and was approaching them as they were taking photos. One of the people in that photo did not make it out alive, and I believe the one that didn't make it out alive was a woman. Uncomfortable facts, right? which feminists tried to minimize. So next photo. Apparently I'm starting to bore people here because we're only down to 3 people listening. Okay, Bear Gang. This one's kind of funny. I'm not gonna get too long into this one. This one's kind of got a sexual component. This one got a big chuckle. Yeah, don't really have all that much to say about this one, so I'm just gonna leave that one be. Okay, now the next one. I have it down as accountability. Now, oh yeah, this one is really hilarious. Because this one is truer than a lot of people might think it is. Accountability is kryptonite to most women now. I mean, I didn't realize how badly. By the way, that's a grizzly bear in the background, not a black bear. Grizzly bears are a lot more dangerous. The women not accepting accountability when Esther Vilar wrote The Manipulated Man 50 years ago, and it's gotten worse. Now, I am aware, for instance, that Hammerhand and a few people in the MGTOW community have considered the fact that no, women cannot get red-pilled. And actually, there are women that have gotten red-pilled. Now, one of the big things I think that is going to have to come up if women are red-pilled, and it's bad enough for the elites or whoever's in charge right now that men are leaving the plantation in absolute droves right now. What's going to happen if women start leaving the plantation in droves, right? What happens if women start to get red pill? And by the way, there's a strong amount of overlap between the female version of the red pill and the male version of the red pill. And I'm going to go back to the original version of the red pill, which is accepting reality as it is, not how you like it to be. So that applies to women as much as men. And yeah, there is also an accountability component to the red pill for men as well. Although that accountability isn't as sweeping for men as it is for women. The accountability aspect of the red pill for men tends to involve more about taking personal responsibility for your life and the direction your life is going in. Whereas accountability for women, it covers a much broader section of what women do as opposed to what it is for men. Moving on, though. Again, thanks to the 3 people that are still here. This one I call Unit I Understand. Again, I encountered a woman like this yesterday. She threw out the word incel. And when I pointed out to her, and this is something I have to point out to guys, the concept of your sexuality, for instance, if you're discussing men's issues and the only thing that they're going to say, let me just read this out for you. Wow, I don't know how to respond to what you just said, so I will call you an incel because having sex is the only value unit I said. Unit of value, I understand. Yeah, they just assume that guys are the same way. And again, right, to assume that, okay, now men are more, if you want to get into the whole sender-receiver dynamic, I'm not sure what religion that comes from, but it is a philosophy or religion where there is a sender and a receiver, or a yin and a yang. men are more of, actually, they're not more, the men are the senders when it comes to reproduction and sex. So they are going to be a lot more externally based. They are going to be more of seekers, right? But to assume that a male cannot take control of their biology and not let it be the thing that rules them is a choice that men can also make. And, you know, a lot of women just assume that all men just simply are driven by their sexual need and cannot conceive of anything else. That problem for both men who are just completely following their dicks around like puppy dogs, or women who just assume that all men are like this and that they will pull out the incel card because it's the only thing. They just assume that all men are going to be like this is, you know, actually kind of pathetic and stupid. Again, and I also got to point out one other thing too. Your sexual history or lack of sexual history when it comes to a certain topic is not really a factor in most discussions. It's not even really relevant in most discussions. You know, that's like, and I've heard this on whatever a couple of times where people try to dismiss the host because he's a white male. And it's sort of like, well, me being a white male makes me wrong. How? Same basic principle. Moving on. Bear hug. This one was, again, this one was this one was actually kind of funny, and I had to add it in. Bear hug. Women after this one was more of a comedy sketch than anything else. You know, as a guy who's MGTOW, I totally get this one, which is why I posted this one up. I mean, we all, like, if you're listening to this podcast and you know that I'm a member of the Manosphere, you totally get this one. I think this one was kind of funny, which is why I posted it up. You know, Bear, of course, is not a human, can't relate to humans, although, again, right, yeah, I just think this is kind of funny. The bear choosing a man after a week with a woman. Well, you know, yeah, you kind of have to be a member of the Manosphere to get that one. Hold on a second. Needed to get some water into me. Okay, next one. This one is a MGTOW one. And, you know, again, this is one of those ones that got feminists really, really angry because, of course, it's true. And they, like, again, accountability and truth is something that they don't want to believe. And it's sort of like, and again, there's a lot of MGTOWs who actually want to go along with this. You know, she wants to choose the bear. Let her choose the bear. There's consequences for that, and that the bear's going to turn her into dinner. Like, if you're going to be this insulting to men and act like it's an own rather than admit that maybe this is not maybe, that this is a stupid fucking choice for feminists and a lot of women to be making, then, you know what? Be my guest. Find out the hard way. That's all I'm going to say about this one. Moving on. This one's actually kind of funny too, because I have actually met some women that are like this. You know, it's like, if you want to call a guy an incel, you know, be my guest. But if you're like 300 pounds and they have to post armed guards up at the salad bar or at the all-you-can-eat bar at a restaurant because they think you're gonna like actually eat all the food there, or, you know, if you have to like live in a reinforced floors because you might fall through because you're so heavy, or that they have to like inflate the tires to extra with extra pressure in the tires because you might deflate the tires when you get in, or if you can even fit in the car in the first place, you are in no position to be calling anybody an incel. Because I mean, unless you get a guy who's specifically into fatties, there's not a guy out there that would touch this one. If you want to see what a 1 on a scale from 1 to 10 looks like, this is a 1. Moving on. Now, this one, I think is probably going to have to start being, we're going to have to start being a lot. It's simping with the cross sign through, just like the Ghostbusters symbol. But you can probably see it in the upper left-hand corner here. I think this is going to have to be a much more open practice for men. Like, if a guy is going to be a simp, it's like, oh, why do you have to be so mean to these guys? I mean, like, these are not guys that I can trust. These are not guys that are going to be reliable. These are not guys that you want to have in your corner, right? These are guys that are going to give away trade secrets for the first piece of pussy that they get, right? Simping, and to quote Nicolo, who said simping is king. No, Nico, simping is not fucking king. If you are one of these people that is selling out on the, again, for the 0.000004 fucking percent chance that you're going to get laid from somebody, and you're selling out everything you believe in to the point where you're actually wanting to be stupid and ignorant, like, you're not going to get any respect from me. In fact, if anything, I'm going to purposely I'm going to go out of my way to be cruel and nasty to you because you are choosing to be willfully ignorant at this. There's no excuse for any male at this point to not know about the gender dynamic. If they are choosing to still simp out at this point, they're either very young or they are choosing to do it. There is no excuse for these guys to not know the truth. All right, here's the one that really gets me. The ones that know the truth and decide to simp out anyway. I don't know why they choose to do that. I'm thinking maybe it's because, it's not going to happen to me. It is going to eventually happen to you because the women, they love the assholes. Go back to the very first photo of this live stream. Next image. This one's got a this one is called shaming tactics. I'm going to go through each of these shame. This one, guys, we're going to be on for a while. So, because this one is going to require some of these might require some deep explanation. Female shaming tactics. The first one, who hurt you? That is an attempt by women to try to change the dynamic of the conversation from a logical based one to an emotionally based one. I've had a couple of women use this one on me before. Usually it's an attempt to divert away from tactics. Usually it comes down to them attempting to shift it over to my pain or my issues or whatever. And like, who hurt me? It's not relevant to it's not relevant to the conversation. Stick to the topic or get the fuck out. That's literally what I said to the last woman that did this. So yeah, who hurt you? It's not relevant to the topic. I'm not answering that. Get back on topic or get the fuck off the thread. That's typically my response. Are you gay? Again, we've covered this a couple of times, but I'm going to have to cover it again here. These are women that cannot conceive of, that just assume that all men are just dogs that follow their dicks around without any consideration of the facts. And they just assume that all men are like that. And if they're not, I have personally actually encountered this one because I wasn't going at, because I was in my 30s. I was not chasing after every piece of tail that came out in front of me. And trust me, I had access to quite a bit. And people just assumed I was gay. They didn't say it to my face, but they just assumed that I was gay. And it's like, no, I'm not. You're not gay. You're just smart enough to know better. If you're MGTOW, even if you're red pill, or if you're MRA, it's like you're smart enough to know better. Again, go back to what I was mentioning at one of the photos at the very start. Any interaction you have with a woman hands her a metaphorical gun that she can use on you at any time, even decades later. Not my fault if you can't accept the reality of what I just told you. That problem is on you, not on me. Number 3, the next one, weirdo. No, you're not a weirdo. You just know better. You know, the problem is that she can't wrap her head, or she won't wrap her head around what you have maybe tried to explain to her. Given the current gender dynamic, an explanation by you for your lifestyle choices or your opinions is no longer justified. Women broke the social contract. You don't have to explain a thing to her. Right? Now, if she's the mother of your kids or one of your relatives, maybe you owe her a bit of an explanation. But again, right? I mean, random strangers calling you weirdo because of your decision to go, say, MGTOW or red pill, that's not for her call to make. Not anymore. They chose to turn their back on the traditional family unit and the traditional nuclear family and the family structure and marriage and whatever. So, yeah, that's also very weird. That's also very insane. That's also taking some very dangerous risks with the culture. So, who's being the weird one? Next one, you misogynist creep. Okay, well, again, being aware of the realities of how women are acting and how the gender dynamic has been corrupted by both the courts and by women themselves, and to a certain extent by feminism, and pointing these issues out for other men to find out does not make you a misogynist. Now, are there misogynists out there? Yeah. But pointing out the reality of the current situation does not make you a misogynist. It makes the woman that is like accusing you of this somebody who cannot wrap her head. Again, this is obviously not a red pill woman. This is not somebody who's willing to accept responsibility or accountability. Next one, man up, you pussy. Again, right? I don't take instructions on how to be a man from a woman anymore. I grew up with a single mom. I grew up with a couple of drug addicted sisters. A good solid chunk of my 30s and my 20s involved having to unlearn the bullshit I picked up from them when I was growing up. You take the red pill, you acquire the freedom that comes with the red pill. I mean, part of that freedom is that you get to define what you are as a person, as a human being, as a man, not her. Next one. You're just bitter because you can't get laid. Actually, this one also ties into you are an incel. It's sort of these are individuals that can't conceive of guys not prostrating themselves at the hole of vagina. Period. Right? They just assume that you've heard me say this a few times, and I'm going to have to say it again, right? These are women that just assume that every guy follows his dick around like a dog and cannot conceive of anything else, right? Also, knowing the reality of the situation. I mean, yes, the red pill is a bitter pill to swallow. However, there are men who actually had some had a substantial amount of success with women. My hand's going up. That also had some very nasty experiences with women as a result of it. Right? To assume that guys in the manosphere, particularly guys who are MGTOW, are just incels that can't get laid or are frustrated and bitter because they can't get laid, obviously have no fucking clue what MGTOW is or what the red pill is. Next one, you have issues. Oh, what would those issues be? That's the question that I always ask. What would those issues be specifically? Again, you have issues is a form of rhetoric. Rhetoric falls apart really quickly when you actually start pressing for specifics. Oh, I have issues, huh? Okay, what would those issues be? Well, you're a misogynistic creep. Okay, really? So being aware of the situation with the gender dynamics makes me misogynistic how? Right? Or you have issues. Well, who hurt you, weirdo? And I'm like, oh, no, well, first of all, that's not answering the question. And who hurt me isn't the issue. The issue here is that I'm stating some facts about the red pill and about MGTOW and about PUA and about MRA. And it's like, you think I have issues for stating facts that are true. If you don't like the issues that I'm bringing up, then debunk them. Stop whining. There is something called stop whining. I mean, there is something called the red pill rage now, and I've explained this to a number of women over the years. This is specifically ties more into MGTOW, but it also applies to the other two major factions in the manosphere as well. There is a lot of venting that goes on when you first take the red pill. You will see people who haven't taken the red pill accuse these guys of whining, when in fact they're getting some toxicity out of their system. What their opinion is of the venting process is none of their fucking business. Let me say that again for you. What their opinion of the venting process is none of their fucking business. It ain't whining. I don't care if you like it or not. That guy has to go through it. Fuck off. Next one, you were a loser. Oh, wow. Again, right? I mean, at this point, any woman, like female, like anti-gynocentrism, female opinion of who I am means nothing to me. You do not get to define me. I get to define me. Any guy who has taken the red pill gets to define himself as they see fit. Now, some of these guys are gonna be insane, right? That is not a project. It is an individual process. I do not subject myself to your value system. Feminists, and to a great extent, women, broke the social contract. You broke the social contract. I don't have to follow it either. Fuck off. And the last one, you need therapy. Again, really, what kind of therapy? Really, what kind of therapy? Like, name it. Like, what kind of therapy do I need? What kind of psychological help do I require? Am I delusional? Well, let's see. The concept of marriage is broken. Any involvement with a woman hands her a metaphorical gun that she can use in her at any time. Just let me know if anybody in the comments. Let me know if you think I'm being delusional about this. If I get accused of sexual assault, rape, whatever, I have to go through, and the police have to treat me like I'm guilty. They have to do due process. That seem delusional to you? The marriage and divorce and child custody courts are broken and corrupt. By all means, is any of this delusional? There's unbalanced funding for male medical issues. Sorry, please, anybody, step up. Let me know when I'm being delusional. Am I being delusional? Anybody? Like, there's a comment section. I'm going to take a look at it. Third time tonight. Haven't looked at it very much. Anybody comment on it? Doesn't look like, oh, wow, the comment's blank. I guess I'm not appealing to anybody. I guess nobody wants to live chat with me. Okay, well, you know what? I wasn't expecting a whole lot of interaction on the live chat at this point. Again, right? What type of therapy? Where am I being bipolar? Where am I being delusional? Where am I being narcissistic? Like, yeah, you want to accuse me of needing therapy? Then you need to be specific about the type of therapy that I need. Oh, I have anger issues. Yeah, well, being insulted just because I'm a guy, being treated like I'm a fucking sexual predator, if there's any children nearby, and being watched like I'm a sexual predator, walking down the street and having, literally in a couple cases, women stopping me and accusing me of following them when all I was doing was walking down the street, like going over in a gym and picking up weights and having some girl I made incidental contact call her fucking boyfriend over, who's giving me the evil eye as I'm just minding my own business working out. It's like, yeah, sorry. I think maybe that shit might make me irritated and angry. Sorry, am I stretching things out here? Like, sorry, what unreasonable anger am I expressing at this point in time? Not blaming all women. In fact, everything I have said tonight is spoken in more of a general sense. There are some women that haven't broken the social contract. There's a lot of women that won't pull out the metaphorical gun and use it on you, although any woman can. That sound delusional to you? Am I wrong about that? Then prove me wrong. Yeah. You need therapy, guys? Like, start asking him, what kind of therapy? Like, where am I wrong? Next one. Oh, this one is about Taylor Swift. Okay, I really don't particularly like Taylor Swift, but again, right, this is a meme that I brought up. Oh, this one is funny. If you've listened to a lot of Taylor Swift's song about all the breakups she's had, like, this would be almost funny. Because, if you look, again, I'm not a Swiftie. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. But she's had a lot of breakups, and somehow it's always the fucking guy's fault. Like, how many times does this have to happen? And there's always people willing to make excuses for her. Like, at what point, like, how many breakups do you have to go through before you realize that maybe you're the problem? Like, something that came up, and I'm going to admit, I'm a member. I've been in a 12-step program. It'll be 40 years clean for me in August of this year. And the big issue that I have to say is, and this is something that I got told to me when I first came into the program, if there's 100 people calling you an asshole, you're probably a fucking asshole, right? So yeah, Taylor, yeah, it was the number of breakups you've had. Yeah, maybe you are the problem. Not that I'm expecting you or in fair. I mean, I have seen women take accountability from time to time, but I'm not expecting Taylor to take accountability. That would be a pipe dream. And I really don't care if she does or not. Now, this next one, we've already covered this one. It came up again. This was like the first of the two photos of this that came up again. I've already covered this one. I'll just reiterate this particular image again, right? Ladies, if you look like this, you were in no position to be calling any guy. And so now this woman, if she actually lost some weight, she might actually be a little bit attractive. And it looks like she does actually have boobs. So they're probably like, this one is probably maybe about a 2 or 3. She is morbidly obese. You certainly wouldn't want her on top. But I mean, yes, a woman like this is in no position to be calling anybody an incel. Period. Moving on. We're getting close to the end, folks. Hang in there. All 3 of you, just hang in there. Hard to swallow. Hard to swallow pills. There we go. Let me just open this up in a new tab here so I'm able to comment on it. Oh, okay. This is one that I've heard a few people say, well, maybe you're not as nice as you think you are. Again, right? Go back to the bear. Go back to single mothers choosing assholes. Go back to the photo. And yeah, I will bring it up at the end of the situation with that guy who openly admitted that he beat his ex-girlfriend and had hundreds of women messaging him on Tinder. Go back to Luigi Mangione, like Heristophilia. It's in it is actually in the comment section, although the comment section seems to have disappeared. Yeah, let me just type something in just for the sake of posting something up. Anybody? Comments? Anybody? Okay, no comments. All right. There is, too many single mothers for this to be true. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how to turn my microphone off whenever I have to sneeze. There's just too many single mothers for this to be true. The post here, they sure spend a lot of time on this nice guy business. At this point, it is a straw man. No guy says he's a nice guy anymore because he'd know he'd be walking him to a knuckle sandwich. What they mainly illustrate is that they are misandrous and hostile to men who want to dogpile on low status men. And if you're, again, right, you take the red pill and you go down the red pill rabbit hole far enough, you will even start to question the concept of status and success and who is defining that for you versus what are you deciding to do for yourself. Red pill, freedom. MGTOW, freedom. Start to look at yourself and what you need to do in your life as opposed to the external validation of what women provide you. Yeah, there's sex involved. Yeah, it's great. It's not the only thing, though. And you definitely never sell out to get pussy. Ever. That is one of the biggest things that I hate about simps. Moving on. Next photo. This one is about tats. Now, I put this one in because, there's a lot of discussion about tats and where they are. For me, for tats, first of all, the red square around the sexual organs would probably have to be a little bit bigger, and the red line for tats would run like literally almost down past the breasts for me. Even like anywhere in her torso region is a serious turnoff. Even the green sections, I mean, okay, there's a lot of women that just have one or two tats on their arms, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. You want to be fucking trendy. I totally get that. If she has a total sleeve tattoo, like it gets to the red. It's run. Yeah, this is more or less accurate. There are multiple articles written about women in tattoos. Even if she has a single solitary tattoo, that is a huge red flag, and that is something that you need to be considering. Even on the arms or the legs, again, right? I don't know. Because of what I know, I know what I know. And I know, for instance, that girls that are heavily tatted up have this insane tendency to be overly melodramatic. Kind of makes them a bit of a turnoff, although some guys like them. I don't know why. Moving on. Oh, this one is kind of pathetic. And also very true to a certain degree. Now, I don't know whether this is fake or real, but I had to post this up in the media section. I hate feminists because pretending to care gets me laid. Actually, most male feminists don't get laid. Like I say, I've already covered the three major types of male feminists in my mind. If these guys were really serious, I mean, this is the other part that really annoys me about male feminists and blue pill guys is that there's the solution to what they need to do with a lot of these guys now is like literally just a mouse click away, and they won't do it. Again, even allowing for the fact that a lot of these guys maybe like the manosphere has been demonized with a lot of them. I mean, like the solutions are out there for guys like this. And one of the big ones is that you don't put your identity into how much pussy you're getting or how much sex you're having. That's an external validator. That is a feedback loop, and I have seen it happen in real time, is not one you want to get stuck into, right? Refocus your life, focus on something else, get past the red pill rage, and decide what is important and what's not important. And I can tell you for a fact that getting laid is not the end all be all that a lot of guys think it is. I get it. Because I'm a guy myself, I get it. It's a very powerful, potent drive, but you don't have to be a slave to it. And you don't have to do shit like agree with toxic women on the off chance that you'll actually get some action. Moving on. Gotta respect the 3 to 6 people that keep coming in, that are sticking around for this. I respect you for tolerating my first ever broadcast. All right. Probably, well, the first one since I've done this. All right. Now let's get into the next one here. This is the Luigi Mangione one. And again, I've covered Luigi Mangione a couple of times on this one. I'm going to say some very, like, uncomfortable things about Mangione here. Okay, but this is what the meme says. Some rich kid privileged enough to fly off and live in Hawaii, here to his back while surfing and parasailing. He's so entitled that when not granted access to Medicare that he assumes he's entitled to, he murders a CEO. Since then, insurance companies have denied claims, yet the entire world has a boner for this guy because he's a rich, privileged kid who got mad at not getting what he wanted, felt entitled to do, and felt he was entitled to, so he murdered someone. You cannot make this stuff up. You want to know who else did that? That would be Elliot Rodger. Elliot Rodger didn't hurt his back, but he came from a very dysfunctional family. Elliot Rodger was entitled, and he was believed that he should be granted access to women because of his status, and because he wasn't getting that, he went out and murdered some people. The difference between Elliot Rodger, who, by the way, was not that ugly an individual, is that Elliot Rodger didn't murder a CEO. Like, there's a lot of overlap between this guy, Luigi Mangione, and Elliot Rodger. They both come from rich families. They're both entitled. They both committed murder. They both while Elliot Rodger's YouTube content was still up, he had a very entitled attitude. His manifesto was really fucking disturbing. However, right, I haven't read the Luigi Mangione manifesto, but it is also not particularly sane from what I have been told, but I can't really comment on it because I didn't listen to it. Luigi Mangione, though, is an incel. Now, I had people get really pissed off when I tell them this, and it's like, okay, well, he wasn't getting any sexual activity, which makes him celibate, and he wasn't getting any sexual activity because of a physical injury, so it was involuntary. So he's involuntarily celibate, which is a long form for incel. Now, you would be absolutely stunned, shocked, and surprised how many people actually tried to argue. In fact, a couple of them tried to argue this point to literal fucking death, that he wasn't an incel, even though I just explained that whole process to them step by step. Oh, well, look at Mr. Mangione. He's such an in shape individual. Well, I mean, look at Elliot Rodger. Elliot Rodger was not an ogre. Neither was Alec Minassian. Alec Minassian was maybe a little bit homely looking, but I mean, he wasn't Minassian was not an ogre either. Right? Like, looks are not relevant. There are Andre Chikatilo, when he was younger, he was an incredibly handsome man. He actually got married. Right? Look at what happened to him. Like, looks are not a guarantee. I mean, Ted Bundy, also not exactly Ted Bundy, not a fucking ogre. Charles Manson, maybe not the prettiest guy out there, but he had a nice singing voice and he was very charismatic. But he was not, Charles Manson was not particularly ugly either. Never mind some of the later photos of you see him in prison. You know, like, there's a lot of these serial killers that are not ugly people, right? But somehow, Mangione breaks the mold. No, he doesn't. Again, I want to say this. There is a disturbingly large similarity between Mangione and Elliot Rodger. It's not exact, but it's close enough. And I will also say something else about Mangione, and this is something that you will notice, especially if you were in the MGTOW part of the manosphere, is that the amount of anger being displayed by Mangione is the same level of anger that I see when incels find their way into the MGTOW community and have to start venting about women and what they've been like, about their failures with women. And again, in saying that, I am not equating incel with MGTOW, but I'm just saying, like, his actions, his emotional responses, and the things that he said and the things that he's done are consistent with an incel. And I can say that because I've had interactions with incels. Don't like the fact that he's an incel? That's not his problem, because I've already explained it to you. But here, let me just explain it to you again in case you didn't hear it the first time around. Mangione is celibate. He is celibate because of an involuntary medical condition which prevents him from having sex with women. That makes him involuntarily celibate, which is, again, the long form for incel. Period. End of story. You have a fucking problem with that. The problem is you, not me. I'm not going to get into any more schematics about trying to explain this to you. Like, that the problem with what I just said is yours, not mine. Moving on. By the way, sorry if I sounded kind of frustrated there. This particular issue with Mangione was just, I mean, yeah, it was particularly galling. Like, people arguing to the point of literal and absolute fucking stupidity. Now, next one, Tom Holland. This one was also pretty fucking funny and pathetic. And again, this one came up from a feminist site. Gentlemen, Tom Holland danced in the rain wearing a vinyl lingerie on national television, and now he's marrying the love of his life. The fragile dogma of traditional masculinity is the only thing holding you back. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that most guys are going to want to put on female clothes and dance in the fucking rain. Okay? Tom Holland is a multimillionaire. Okay? The projection on this one is pathetic. The attempt to use Tom Holland in fucking drag as an example to men everywhere is equally pathetic. I don't know what made feminists think that this was somehow going to work. The only people who are going to be fooled by a stunt like this are men who actually want to be fooled. All right, let's not even get into that Romeo and Juliet, where the Juliet was like a 4 or a 3 in terms of attractiveness. Like this, like, again, you take the red pill, you decide what you want to wear and what you not want to wear. Now, if you want to wear women's clothes, you know what? Like, have at her, man. Just don't expect my approval if you're going to do that and demand that I call you a woman. Like, that ain't gonna fucking happen. Right? But yeah, it is not, masculinity is not for women to define. Period. End of story. And this was, I'm done commenting on that one. All right. Oh, we're almost there, folks. Hold on. Just hold on. Strong woman. Strong woman. Ooh, yeah, She-Hulk. Strong woman. Getting close to the end here. I'm going to have to get some water when I'm done here. Strong woman. Only a strong man can handle a strong woman. A weak man will say he has an attitude and unrealistic expectation. Oh, no, a strong man doesn't have to put up with a... First of all, the feminist version of a strong woman is not somebody that I would want around. Again, and I'm going to keep saying this, it is not up to her to decide what a fucking strong man is. It is up to you after you take the red pill, after you go MGTOW, after you become the manosphere and you start to explore yourself as a person and figure out what is best for yourself, you get to decide what that is. You don't have to have external validators, especially from feminists, telling you what a man is. Okay? They gave that up. They don't get to say that anymore. Then remember that one with the black shirt saying men's feminine, men's opinions to women. This is what I was talking about, right? Like, you want to take that attitude towards us, then you do not get to define for us what a man is. Same thing with that Tom Holland photo. Like, you don't get to decide that for us anymore. You broke the social contract. Because you broke the social contract, we don't have to follow it either. Fuck off. So, you know what? If you want to be a strong woman, if you want to be a bitch, if you want to be an unpleasant woman to be around, then you can be a cat lady. And if you want to be a cat lady, don't try to wrap yourself up and try to make yourself noble for being so, because you became a cat lady or a single mother for a reason, and you had to bear the responsibility and the accountability for those choices. And it's not something that you could turn into a badge of honor, right? It's not. So, I mean, again, right? Women's opinions on men doesn't matter. You broke the contract. We decide for ourselves. Moving on. We're almost there, folks. 7 people. I don't believe it. There's still 7 people actually listening to me. Thank you. I'm surprised you actually like me enough to actually stick around. Okay, this is the last photo. That's on this thing. I have it down as 30s, 40s. This one, I think, is a rather fitting end to this particular live stream. And here it is. When I see a single man in his 30s, 40s happily existing, I make sure to remind him that he's expired. He clearly isn't hubby material. He must have been ran through, and that no high value woman will ever want him because he is ever decreasing sexual market. This is literally this is literally what the men say. And this is a really pathetic attempt to try to reverse the tables. The only fucking problem with this is that guys do get more attractive as they get older because they have more resources as they get older. They get smarter when they get older, right? Like, I mean, like, I'm in my mid-50s and I'm still shocked at the fact that, I mean, when I do stuff like go to the gym, I'm still able to attract women. And there are guys at the gym better built, better looking than I am, right? It's not that I go to a gym to attract women, because I don't. But I mean, yeah, this is a very pathetic attempt to try to reverse the tables. Again, right? Like, when this got posted up at some men's groups on Facebook, it got absolutely ripped to shreds because it was very pathetic. Yeah, I mean, if you're a guy in your 30s, 40s and you like see this, it's like, yeah, it's just not true. Period. End of story. And that takes us through the slideshow. For the 7 of you that are still listening, thank you very much. The whole live stream is going to go down in on Rumble as is. You will see the edited versions on the other shows, on the other platforms, and I will post up the edited version of this show in a few days. Thank you very much, all of you, for listening. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Have a good night. And yeah, as I go on, like I say, I'm going to start thinking of various topics and things to discuss, and I might even invite other people on to discuss it. But I mean, this particular show tonight was just me clearing this out and doing a debut. And as you clearly saw, I had some, I have some newbie problems to deal with. I will figure them out. Again, as of right now, Monday 9:30 will be the next one. You want to tune in? By all means, feel free to tune in. But thank you very much for the people who stuck it all the way through and actually listened to me do this live stream. Have a good night, and I will see you in the next one.